We are the only shop in the entire country that can tune your Altis, and I will tell you exactly why. And we're pretty much the only shop that has the complete mods that work for the Altis. And this Altis right now is getting our complete everything: intake, full exhaust, Unichip, and then our latest offering, a strut bar. So follow along and we'll show you what's to be done. We've removed the stock intake of the Altis, and this is all of it. Yeah, this whole thing is called the intake. It consists of a tube, an airbox, and this is where the sensor goes. Now this sensor is the mass airflow sensor. This one has to go into the intake tube that we'll be making, and this part will be replaced with a cold filter. Now the question that we get all the time, is it a colder intake or not? The short answer is no, it's not a colder intake, and no, you will not make more power because the intake is colder. And in order to have a true colder intake, I put that in air quotes because, like I say, the air is not much colder. It's really not. It's probably half a degree to 1 degree. That's insignificant when it comes to performance. And in order to have a correct pipe length, we need to actually relocate the battery or make the battery smaller in order for the tubing to fit. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is our short ram intake, and it faces here. And I will tell you another thing that most people don't seem to understand. Kasi we always get comments na mainit yung makina eh. Yeah, mainit for who? You the person? Of course it's mainit for you the person. You cannot use yourself as the basis of comparison for the proper working temperature of the engine. I'll put into very simple numbers. Your normal operating body temperature is from 36 to 37 degrees. Anything higher, you're probably sick. 38, 39, it's debilitating fever. At 40 and 41, you're probably dead. An engine's normal operating temperature is 90 to 95 degrees Celsius. It's more than twice, it's 3 times more, yeah, almost 3 times like normal operating temperature. So no, you cannot use you the human and do this and say, oh, it's mainit. No. And for the other factors, does it not suck in hot air? The answer is also no, because number 1, it is not hot for the engine, and 2, once the car is moving, the air under the hood is not steady. There's a constant supply of air going through here into the grill, goes past the radiator and everywhere else that supplies air to the filter over there. And I'm sure you've seen it on the internet where they have colder intake for the Altis where the pipe goes from here and goes there up to there. That can be made to work, but unfortunately the battery is in the way. So if you want a colder long tube intake, we have to get rid of this battery and move it to the back. Then that's a lot more expensive. It's not worth the additional 1 to 2 horses just by doing so. So this short ram intake is the best configuration for the Altis, period. Altis exhaust, we actually have 2 options. This Altis we're doing now is going for the more expensive option. So, and does expensive mean more better? The answer is yes, but I'll explain the but in a while. The standard Altis headers is this one. It's a short header here. There's a flange here that connects to the catalytic converter here, and the rest of the exhaust there. So if you want something that's bolt-on, meaning that there's no cutting, welding, or modification of any kind, just take out the whole header and bolt it back on. This is pretty much it. The difference between this and the stock header is this one is a lot fatter, this one's a lot straighter, this one's a little bit bigger to facilitate better airflow. Now the expensive option is this sucker. This is a long tube 421 header, and it is better. Let's go to the whiteboard so I can explain why this is better. The best way to think about headers is to think about them as roadways or calzada. You have here a parking lot with 4 exits. You have cars here inside. So the theory goes is the faster that the cars exit out, the more power you'll make. Makes sense, right? So I don't think that needs any explanation to see which one has faster cars. So obviously this one will have a lot more faster cars coming out at this point as compared to this point. So the 421 long tube, and by the way, this is the theory behind it. 421 will only work if length is sufficient. Now, you might be wondering, how do we know if the length is sufficient? Well, that's where R&D comes in. And that's where the dyno comes in. Because if the shop has neither of these two things, they can never find out what this is. And then, yes, we went through several iterations, several designs to come up with what we have now, to make sure that this one is the most optimum design for power. And why is it not 421? For a simple reason is there's not enough space here for 4 tubes like that. I cannot stick 4 tubes into one big circular cylinder at this end. There's simply no space underneath. And because if I did that, this diameter here would already be too big. That's too big. And thus the rest of my exhaust will have to be, for a section will be 2.5, and then we will lose power. So not good. So that's the reason why long tube headers make more power than short ram headers. Remember what I said but a while ago? Here comes the but part. This one we get for maximum power, but with tuning. If we don't tune it, there is a slight loss of power at the low end of the RPM. So if this is our horsepower scale here, this is stock. So this is a 1000 RPM. This is 6000 RPM. If we install this and this alone and don't tune it, we probably get something like that. There is a slight loss of horsepower and torque here, and this is about 4000 RPM. And the reason why that is because it leans out the air-fuel mixture a little bit too much. At the expense, because we wanted to get the high horsepower gains here. You can think of air-fuel mixture as this way. So you have your cars coming out of the exhaust. This has a certain distance to be optimum. Make the cars too close, you lose power. Power goes down. Make the cars too far apart, you also lose power. This distance is, I like to call it as the air-fuel ratio. That's probably the easiest way I can explain it without going to a lot of chemistry and math. Because you have to understand, when your exhaust comes out of your engine, it is not a continuous stream. Let's say this is a fire hose. It is not a continuous stream of water. It is in pulses. So this is why your engine had dug, 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 dug. It's not a continuous drone when you're running your engine. It's pulses like this. There is a space in between here, between each exhaust pulse that comes out of the cylinder. This proper pulse spacing is what determines the air-fuel ratio inside the engine. Make the pipes too big and too loose, you will have a lean air-fuel ratio. And obviously, if you make the pipe too small, you'll have yung sinasakal mo, the air, all of the cars will be backed up here, and that's going to be rich. So lean is bad, rich is bad. And that's why only we have the correct exhaust configuration for the Altis, no other shop. Okay, our Altis is done and it looks amazing. I really like this strut bar over here. So this is our engine bay setup. So you can see it's very clean, very nice. So we match the intake tube to the color of the car, which pretty much everybody wants anyway. It's red. So just in case you're interested, we can actually color match our intake tubes to whatever color you want. But of course, the number one color that people request is red because red is for racing. It is our 1320 Motorsports aluminum strut bar. The sad part about this car is we cannot see the header because it's there at the back. As in, there's really no way to see it unless we lift up the car, but too bad. It is a thing of beauty. So everything's done. Let's start it up and hear what it sounds like. Oh, that sounds good. Actually, from the inside, it's not so bad. It's actually still kind of quiet. So the next thing we're gonna do with this one is we're gonna put it on the dyno, install the Unichip, and then tune it to see how much more power we get.